Sudden reversal for one of Donald Trump's closest allies. Steve Bannon now saying he's willing to testify before the January 6th committee.
First of all, just tell us what was this hearing today?
Well, Steve Bannon was trying a number of defenses out, trying to delay the trial, trying to offer different defenses. And the Justice Department, one by one, won on basically every motion.
Every defense that he tried to lay out, that his lawyers tried to lay out, was eliminated from the trial. So when this gets underway next week, you're going to have a pretty tough road ahead for his legal team. Actually, his lawyer at the end of the meeting said, they're going to have to take time to consider whether, since there aren't any defenses available to them, whether it even makes sense to go to trial. And the judge agreed with that notion and said that would be a good thing for them to review.
Bannon's lawyer told the judge today, quoting now, "What's the point of going on trial if we don't have any defenses?"
I think it showed that this last-minute attempt by Steve Bannon to say that he was now willing to cooperate at the last minute after fighting the subpoena tooth and nail for many months was seen as a ploy by both the Justice Department and the judge. And in fact, the Justice Department argued successfully that this was essentially irrelevant, that the crime had already been committed when he failed to show up for his subpoena, that there wasn't sort of a do-over that he could do right now.
After a Trump-appointed judge eviscerates Steve Bannon's defenses ahead of his contempt trial, Bannon's lawyer wants to know, what's the point of going to trial here if there are no defenses? I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ, and indeed, what is the point? The judge rejected the proposed defenses, essentially leaving Bannon defenseless against the crime that he's alleged to have committed, specifically defying a subpoena from the Select Committee regarding his involvement in the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol and the attempted coup. The only defense that he's been left with is just that maybe he got the date wrong. Bad communication, it happens to the best of us. Now, among the defenses that were struck down, 1, the trial should be delayed due to increased media scrutiny surrounding the January 6th hearings. 2, the trial should be delayed due to Trump now waiving executive privilege to Bannon, implying that before the privilege was waived, Bannon wasn't legally able to testify. 3, Bannon's refusal to comply was justified based on his position as a presidential advisor or because of limitations on congressional subpoenas. And 4, Bannon should be able to counter-subpoena Nancy Pelosi and committee chairman Benny Thompson. Now, that last one was condemned as an attempt by Bannon and his legal team to make a circus of the proceedings. And as for that executive privilege claim,
I think this letter from President Trump offering to waive executive privilege is a gimmick cooked up between him and Steve Bannon to get him out of his criminal case. He was subpoenaed to testify many months ago, and his failure to appear on that date committed a crime. I think a defense will likely be to say, well, I could not have testified until Donald Trump waived the privilege, and he didn't do that until July. We know it's not his privilege to waive. It's unclear whether the conversations were privileged at all because Bannon wasn't a member of the executive branch at the time he made these statements. And so I see this as just an effort to subvert the criminal case. And he doesn't want to testify. He knows that he's calling the bluff. He knows that the committee at this point doesn't want him to testify either, because as Congressman Swalwell said there, he'll make a mockery of the whole thing. And so I think this is a gimmick to help Steve Bannon in his criminal case.
Now, according to Politico and that quote from Bannon's lawyer, the defense, quote, appeared flummoxed.
The committee insists Bannon knew about the events planned on January 6th, pointing to this warning he issued just one day before the Capitol insurrection.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. It's not going to happen like you think it's going to happen, okay? It's going to be quite extraordinarily different. And all I can say is strap in.
And this morning, a new development. We are learning that Justin Clark, Trump's current attorney, who is very much so actively advising the former president, spoke with the FBI 2 weeks ago, directly contradicting Bannon's defense. Prosecutors say that Bannon's sudden willingness to testify is nothing but a last-ditch effort to avoid accountability.
Now, Bannon was subpoenaed to appear before the committee in October. But not only did he fail to appear, but he also failed to provide any documents related to his known involvement in the insurrection and attempted coup. For instance, we know that he was there at the Willard Hotel as one of the key conspirators during discussions on how to keep Trump in office for another term. Bannon was also admittedly involved in strategizing ways in which congressional GOP members could challenge the results of the 2020 election. So let's look back at what Bannon and his attorney had to say following the misdemeanor charges being brought against him. This is from November of last year, about a month after he was supposed to appear before the committee.
You see these signs right here and the guys over here saying insurrection and all that? That's what this country's about. It's freedom of speech. They got their opinions. We have our opinions. Okay? Hang on. They have their opinions. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be the misdemeanor from hell for Merrick Garland, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden. Joe Biden ordered Merrick Garland to prosecute me from the White House lawn when he got off Marine One. And we're going to go on the offense. We're tired of playing defense. We're going to go on the offense on this and stand by.
Lots of big talk. He said this was going to be the misdemeanor from hell, implying that he, along with his legal team, would make this trial more hassle than it was supposedly worth for the Select Committee and the Justice Department, essentially punishing them for the audacity to charge him. He said he was tired of playing defense, which is funny considering the very offensive crime he was allegedly involved in planning and committing. And he said it's a free country, which is what the kid next door to me used to say every time he would change the rules of the game that we were playing just so that he could win. That kid also dropped a cat from a second-story balcony, but I'm sure that's unrelated to anything. Now fast forward to July 2022, Bannon's offense has been beaten back by the defense, and now he's, quote, willing to testify before the committee. Now that would be an interesting development, but Congressman Eric Swalwell isn't getting his hopes up. So is all of this hope? Hope for justice, hope that the right people will do the right things, hope that the system is working as it should even in the face of money, power, contempt, and greed? We'll just have to see how it all ultimately plays out. Now, Bannon could be facing jail time and fines if he's found guilty of knowingly defying the subpoena. But we all know that the threat of jail time and fines doesn't always serve as a deterrent against criminal actions, especially when the alleged criminal is rolling in dough and political connections. We saw how smug Bannon was after he was charged. We saw his defiance in the face of the law. We've all seen who this man is and who he's been throughout the entirety of Trump's presidency. His unrelenting defiance and his insistence that he is above the entire law would almost be impressive if it wasn't so destructive. And I would almost call him delusional if I didn't think he was actually a little bit justified in believing himself above the law. We've seen Trump and his cronies wriggle out of legal retribution time and time again, while actively dismantling the democracy that we've all come to depend on. And yes, while democracy in our country has come under threat, and while its defenders have seemingly faltered and caved to the whims of moneyed interests and political agendas, the vote was always the fallback that we had. We, the people. And I'm not saying that it was a perfect system. It never was. It was never truly democratic. And it never truly exemplified the doctrine that all men are created equal, even when you extrapolate the term men to also include women. But lately, it's felt even less so. It's been made less so. The system has always depended on people in positions of authority doing their jobs to the best of their abilities and with integrity for the office they hold, and it's been tested by corruption and malice, leaving we, the people, to scramble as our rights are systematically stripped and to watch as bad actors are rewarded for their misdeeds and being allowed to hoard unchecked authority. The question now is whether or not the United States of America will go down as the great failed experiment, or if it will actually become the beacon of justice it's always claimed to be. Okay, that's it for me. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or if you hopefully got something out of it, and also follow me over on Instagram and TikTok.